important part was on digital technologies. We all agreed that digital technology is here to stay, and it is going to help fuel the growth of our economies. But at the same time, we must deal with the risks, with the dangers that the digital technology gives rise to. For instance, Internet of Things can enable people to propagate hate speech, to increase the conflicts around the world. But we also need to address issues of privacy, of information, security. But we also need to recognize that the other side of it can actually fuel economies when it comes to e-commerce. So we need to be addressing all those issues as it regards the fourth industrial revolution. So we found that the G7 countries were very responsive to the needs of developing economies. And we find this to be a very good platform for African countries to come to the G7, to make the G7 more alive to the issues that impact on almost 1.2 billion people who live on the African continent. So they were receptive, and our voice is being heard, and it is becoming more and more of a vocal voice. So much as we as African economies are not part of the G7, we've got a platform that we can utilize to influence the decisions of the big economies in the world. And we've used that platform quite effectively. South Africa raised the flag, not only of South Africa, but of the continent. And we were acting in partnership with Egypt, with Rwanda, with Senegal, with Burkina Faso, who were all here at the G7. So we're working as a team, promoting our continent and, of course, promoting our own countries at the same time.
Mr. President, finally, how would you explain to the ordinary South African why it is important for us to establish a strong presence at such meetings as the G7?
Well, the G7 represent quite a substantial portion of the GDP of the world. They represent a huge portion of the trade flows in the world. Countries such as the United States, Germany, France, Canada, Japan. Those are countries, the United Kingdom, France, those are countries that cannot be ignored. We, as South Africans, have an open economy. We trade with all these countries. These countries are invested in our own economy. Some of our own companies operate in their own local markets. So we are interlinked with them, we're interdependent, and we've got to be present whenever they meet to discuss important things. So we are fortunate as South Africa because we interact at the G7, the G20. We are part of the G20, much as we're a small economy, smaller than all the others. We are in BRICS. We are the smallest in BRICS, but we are there as an important player in BRICS. And we are also a key player now in the UN Security Council. So South Africa is well regarded in the world, and we've got to play our role to represent the interests of our people in South Africa, but we are acutely aware that we are not there just for our own sake. We are there to also represent a pan-African agenda, because our foreign policy is pivoted around our being in Africa, part of Africa, and it's part of the pan-African agenda that all of us are propagating, because we want to improve the prospects of our continent. We want our continent to get the best of all worlds. So when we are here, we wear two hats, South African hat, but we also wear a bigger hat, the African hat. And we speak vocally on all those matters, unashamedly, unapologetically, because we are African and we must promote an African agenda.